The Enhanced American Express Business Gold Card is designed to take your business further. It's packed with benefits like 4 times points that adapt to your top 2 eligible spending categories every month on up to $150,000 in purchases per year. And up to $395 in annual statement credits on eligible purchases at select business merchants. The Amex Business Gold Card. Now smarter and more flexible. That's the powerful backing of American Express. Terms apply. Learn more at americanexpress.com/businessgoldcard.
I am paging Dr. Chanda.
I am the Dr. Chanda.
And I'm a licensed clinical psychologist.
Yeah.
Welcome to the Paging Dr. Chanda Podcast, all things related to the Black culture.
Put the doctor in front of your name.
Period. I'm so mad I can't find my intro. Hey, girl. Hey.
Hey, Trip. How you doing?
Good. How are you?
Girl, I'm yet holding on, honey.
Wow.
Listen, you know, this corridor of the year from the anniversary of my mom's passing through all the holidays and my birthday in a couple weeks is just so.
It's a lot.
Fantasia says, but I'm here.
No, she was singing down. Oh, listen. One thing about Fantasia.
Man, like, swear to God, you can't tell me that they did not write that song specifically for her from when she was originally singing on Broadway. Because honestly, now don't get me wrong, with the new adaptation, the second round of the play, what Cynthia Erivo did was silly. Cynthia Erivo's version of I'm Here was something because that girl can sing her face off, but it just wasn't. I put your picture on my mirror. Like, it's just.
Listen, but that's a part of the reason why I needed you a part of this conversation, because you are the Color Purple fan.
Fan
like,
down. Okay.
Fan down. And me personally, so y'all probably gonna take my black card, but I never watched like the entire movie of The Color Purple until recently, like a few days ago after I saw.
Oh my lamb!
I know it was just so long, but it's an amazing movie. It was just like super long. Like, I knew what it was
Titanic?
about.
Did you watch Titanic?
I did. Yeah.
Did you? Okay. Did you watch Green Mile?
No.
Okay, that's fine. But you watch Titanic and it's the same.
You're right.
Don't do us. That's okay. Did you read the book?
I did not. Did you?
Yes. And I'm rereading. I read the book and I'm rereading because I literally just bought a new copy the other day because they had a cute new cover.
Okay.
So I'm rereading it, and like, you gotta read it because it's. And you haven't seen the play. Did you see the play? You went to the play?
No.
Oh God.
I know.
But just like that triangulation of book, movie, book, well, really square, because it's book, original movie, play, new adaptation, but then both plays because God, man. And here, I don't want to get too far ahead of us in our discussion, but the people who are reacting to some of the stuff, like Fantasia and Taraji's kiss and all of that, y'all clearly didn't read the book.
That's what I'm like. Y'all didn't read the book, obviously. I mean, I didn't read it either, but I knew that Suge and Celie, they was in a whole relationship.
Okay, they were getting active.
Yeah,
do you hear me? Living, breathing, like actual. Okay,
but I think that's
honestly, what really, really blew me the most about. And this wasn't everybody, but a significant amount of people's reaction was like they had like visceral reaction to the fact that it was a musical. And I'm like, where have y'all been for the last year? Like, we knew that,
right?
And how did you not know that?
But that's why you're the perfect person to have this conversation with, because you read the book, you've seen the play, you saw the original movie, and you recently saw the new movie.
and I saw the play multiple times.
Right.
Broadway.
Right. And the girls is in a frenzy right now because they're like, well, I didn't know it was a musical. I didn't know it was like this. I didn't know it was like that. Yeah.
And I don't understand. Again, we're not gonna be the dead horse, but yes, for those of you who are watching who have not gone to see it yet, it's a musical.
It's a musical.
And I will say, here's what I'll say. Okay, so you ain't asked me, but I'm gonna ask myself. If you were to ask me, what were my thoughts? What did I think of the movie overall?
That was my first question.
Okay, so again, as we stated, I am a color purple fanatic to the point where my favorite color is purple. But that's because that's my mom's favorite color, and her favorite color is purple because of Prince. But that's neither here nor there. But the fact of the matter is, that's my favorite color. Look,
period.
Purple. It's really a prettier purple, but you can't see on the thing. But anyway, so I knew what was going to happen, right? Like I at least had a loose thought of where everything was going to go. I knew when the songs were going to kick in. I knew the songs for the most part, minus the one with Halle, the one that Halle wrote, one with the young Celie, like her. I think her name is Felicia. What's the baby? I think her name.
I don't know.
What? Okay, I'm gonna look it up. What? Yeah, the one who plays young Celie.
Yeah,
her, like they have a song together. That was the only one prior to this movie that I didn't know.
It was new, right?
Yeah, it was new.
Okay.
That's the only one that I didn't know. But all of the other ones I knew. Felicia is her name.
Okay.
That's the only one I didn't know. But so I knew it was coming. I knew it was there. I obviously, if you know the original Color Purple, they really kept some of the core lines. You told Harpo to beat me. Till you do right by me. Everything you think about going to crumble.
Right.
You know, those kind of things. They had those key pieces there. So I was able to recite them. You know, me and the rest of the theater were able to recite them. There were other pieces that I knew. So when I say I was not blown away, it is because there is, when you watch something or something happens that blows you away, I think that there's a inherent shock value to that. There was no shock value in this for me because I knew what to expect. Right. However, it was so beautifully done. The artist in me was in, so it was more awe and nostalgia than anything else. Now, what did shock me was, crazy enough, De'Aaron Cole playing Celie and Nettie's dad.
So good. He did so good. And he's a comedic actor, so I wasn't expecting him to be able to embody that role, but he did that.
Baby, when they was out in the thing and he was like, Celie, I was like, it made me jump.
Right.
And the thing, I knew it was coming. I was like, to the point so where good. I needed to look again. It's like, I had to look it up. Like, is this who I think it is? This not the one that be at that boardroom table in Blackish. Can't be. Can't be. Baby.
He ate that up.
Listen, I don't know if he was in it long enough for any type of award, but give that man his flowers at the very least, because that was at that, first and foremost, hands down, he was the one that, like, everybody was amazing. Acting and all of that. I will get to the rest of them, but like, I just could not believe it. And second, because I talked a lot of trash, so I will eat my words. I was not, and I shared this on my Facebook page in my review, I was not 100% sold on Taraji as Suge prior to. I told you that. Like, I had a whole list of people who they could have called other than Jill. I mean, you know, Jennifer, what's her name? Jennifer Lewis. She a little bit too old to be. Yeah. But it, you know, they just give like sass in a different way. Like, I just couldn't, I didn't want Cookie as Suge. You know what I mean? I didn't want the lady from Hustle and Flow as Suge. Like, I just didn't need that. But she gave Suge, and my girlfriend Lisa and I were talking about this. Her Suge had a polish to her. Like even with her stuff and her, you know, the skeletons in her closet, the demons she was battling, her issues with her father, you know, that nasty woman's disease. She
right.
still
But did they say that in the new one?
They did not say that.
Okay.
And, you know, that is my
right.
favorite line from that. Plus, I hear she got that nasty woman's disease.
I would have loved for them to like put that in the new one because that would have added a whole different.
Yo, Prime members, so check this out. We are here to talk about our favorite thing in the world, and that is Amazon Prime.
That's right. We all have different interests, but there's one thing that brings us together: Prime.
As members ourselves, we found ways to maximize our Prime benefits to get the most out of our passions.
From fast and free shipping, streaming of movies and music, and even exclusive deals and discounts, Prime has it all.
And what's great is that you can use all of these services to elevate your hobbies and interests.
Whether you're a bookworm, a fitness fanatic, or a gaming guru, Prime has something for everyone. I promise you that.
So go ahead, explore and indulge in all that Prime has to offer. We promise you won't be disappointed.
Time to get more out of whatever you're into. Prime. And that's that on that.
Layer.
It would have. And now the dad, he did a solid 3 to 5 minutes on Suge, like got her right out of there,
right.
But didn't say that part. But like, you know, Suge Avery to set the population of Hopewell County to a new high.
Yeah,
plus, she got that nasty woman's disease. Like it's that. I was like, yeah. But it was other key pieces that really like that kitchen, like when Celie first marries Mr. And then she goes to the house for the first time, and he like, you know, tell her to get to work. And she walk in both the new scene, the new movie and the original. When she walk in that kitchen, honey, I want to fight. I want to fight.
I would have left at that point.
I wanted to fight Harpo in the original when he threw that rock at her. Like, oh my goodness, baby. Yeah, I just. It was really amazing. Taraji really, she shut my mouth because I was talking big trash, big trash. And she was like, let me show you how to do this. And she was her own version. She didn't do it Margaret Avery. Yes. Margaret Avery, the original Suge, she did not. She gave it her own. She gave it her own thing. But this Suge had a like, if Margaret Avery was, I am going to disrespect her and go a little lower, but if she was Macy's, Taraji is Nordstrom's, like, you know, Lord & Taylor, like, you know, Saks, like, okay, so Margaret Avery is Saks off Fifth. Taraji was Saks.
Okay.
And her clothes and her way, because even when she was down and out, she was still clean.
Very much, yes.
Yeah, like
well put together.
Yes. And so when she got herself together, it made sense. The allure and like, you know what I'm saying? Like Margaret Avery, the original Suge, her allure was like purely sexual to me. Whereas, and she had that talent and all that for sure, but Taraji, and which I think was intentional with Blitz, the director, I think I'm wondering if that was intentional, that every lady every character, every woman in the movie had something that somebody would want to aspire to.
Yes.
Even Suge with all her mess,
yes,
she was still that girl. Like I understood why people was like, oh my God, and wanted her at the juke. People when she went to Memphis and like all of those things. When she got her man and, you know, well, hold on. Also, please know that there will be spoilers in this. So
spoiler alert. So if y'all didn't see the movie, you might want to catch this at a later time.
Yeah, so like when she went and like when they walked in that house, I was like, okay,
yeah, the house was lit. They had some type of money.
They had big money, okay, and I was like, okay, and this fits. This makes sense. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I got it, and so that's why I loved about this version. Like it took that, like, you know, anytime there's a period piece that involves Black people, that involves like that kind of scene with the sharecropping and the fields and the this and the that, like it just has something. But there was all of that was there, but there was something that 2023 us could be like, okay, I see.
That's why it was so amazingly done, though, because that movie very much took place in like the Reconstruction era, you know, that sharecropping era right after the enslaved period. so we were dealing with like racism and discrimination, oppression from, white America, and also dealing with things like misogyny in our own community, dealing with people trying to humble Black women, like dealing with all the multi layers of oppression and discrimination and what that looks like to Black women, even during that period. And so many of us can still relate to that, even though it was so long ago.
Right. And so while we may not be getting married off at 14, 15, 16.
Exactly.
And I was getting ready to say, or having kids to our stepdads, but also,
I mean, yeah,
that probably is still happening. The latter is illegal. The former, as far as like getting married off at 14, 15, it's illegal in most places, but yeah, the rampant sexual assault and molestation and rape of Black women is still a thing, and so
silent,
and the silence pain, and just like, but also that thread throughout, and I love that the cast also displays this off screen, is the strength of Black sisterhood.
Yes, we're gonna get there. Okay, so first I want you to tell me like which character resonated with you the most.
Okay, and I'm gonna try to answer this separate from my obsession with the people.
Okay.
Because Fantasia and Danielle Brooks, I am like upset. I was Danielle Brooks fan since Orange is the New Black, like
yes.
And Fantasia since American Idol.
Period.
Like, and her biopic on Lifetime. Like I'm there. Like I'm that kind of fan. Right. But I think I know, and I hate, we play these games all the time, and I hate when people do this, but I'm gonna do it. It is both. It's both. It's Celie and Sophia. Whereas, like, I've never had that like meek, do what you told like mindset that like Celie had. I've always had the mouth like Sophia, but I also low key like resented myself for having that mouth. Like I wish I had that gentle, quiet spirit. I felt like that kind of hindered me in like relationships, like my marriage and stuff like that. But there was a invisibility that Celie has that I very, very much related to. Like even being loud as Sophia, I still at points in life, even now, feel invisible and feel disregarded and feel like I'm not, like, living in that house. If you take Mr. Suge and Celie all in one house, Celie would never be able to access, even if she wanted it, the affection and desire and love that Mr. had for Suge.
Correct.
Yes. So that feeling of being in the presence of what is possible but not available to you has been really like the story of my life. And so personality wise, I relate to Sophia more.
Okay.
But lived experience, outside of like domestic violence, like that's that part I can't relate to, but the sexual trauma and all those pieces I can. It's silly, but I just ain't never been ugly.
Never been.
Never will. Never been. It never gave ugly. Even when I was bullied and they would talk about me, I'd be in the mirror like, but what is it? I'm missing it. I don't, because what are they? Where? I don't see. I never got it. It never gave ugly. It never.
No, I would say the same. With regard to like Celie. So granted, no, I have not experienced like the traumas that she experienced, but even as Black women, like I think it as a people as a whole, like we have to come to a place where we go through a process of finding our voice, learning it, and being comfortable with expressing it in the way that we do. Because we do live in a world where people just want to humble us. And so going through that process of finding it and allowing yourself to be as Celie did, I would say, I definitely resonated with her.
Yeah.
Yeah. So let's hop into it because this movie was so much more than just cinema. Like I said, it's the experience of like the intricacies of what Black women experience overall.
Yes.
And what was like really in our face was like the racism, colorism, and the featureism. And we kind of like alluded to it already, but I'm wondering from your perspective, like how did you kind of see that manifested in the movie?
Yeah, you know what's crazy, particularly like the colorism and featureism piece, is that one thing I'll say is casting, because casting is something that like is really important to me.
Yes.
It's really important to me, just in general in any movie. But Felicia has the really pronounced features and like the wide mouth and you know, pronounced like full lips and things like that.
Yeah.
Like the original young Celie. And so I thought that they, you know, and even when Whoopi transitioned, like they casted that really, really, really well. And I think that from transitioning from her to Fantasia is believable. But both very beautiful chocolate women, but with very, and not but and with very, you know, pronounced features, right? They don't like, they're definitely not like features that you have to look for. They're like right there, you know, in the face. And I love that. But what was not lost on me is, and I don't know if this was intentional, right? Because
it was. And I already know where you're going.
Yeah. And this was an addition to this film that wasn't in the original.
Yeah.
Because original Nettie was just as chocolate as her sister.
Yep.
And the only thing that made Nettie prettier, if you will, than her sister is the fact that her hair was done and the clothes that they put her in. Like she just had she was a little shinier. She put that Vaseline and cocoa butter on before she went on down to the schoolhouse. That's the only thing that separated.
That was it.
They had the same full features, same body type. Like there wasn't anything that would have hit on that stereotypical, you know, whatever. Like they just the movie match, they just dressed her up a little bit more. But in this new one, there is a stark, and again, still very pretty, but stark difference between Halle and Felicia. And I don't know if that was intentional because it wasn't in the first one and wasn't necessarily necessary. But I don't know, because is colorism more present now than it was then? Like, I don't, to make it more of a like a commentary on our present society, to have a lighter, like, you know, somebody fairer and, you know, daintier, or I don't know. I don't know what it is, but it's something that I noticed. I will say it's something that I noticed.
I definitely noticed it. And even, like, I remember even after seeing the movie, my dad even asked, like, I wonder, like, what was the difference between, like, if they're sisters with the same parents, like, why was that something that was so pronounced in the film?
Right.
And I really think it was purposefully done. I really do. Because they wanted to kind of like drive on that point of, you know, you so ugly. And he called her Black a few times in this movie. I think he called her Black a few more times in the original though.
And this week told her she was ugly as called her ugly as household sin or something like that.
Yes. And granted, I don't know who did the casting in the original, but that was a film that was very much done by a white person. So he may not catch all the things that we experience in our community. Such as the colorism, the featureism, and all those things. So when you have somebody like a Oprah with their hand in the cast and production, and you know whoever else they had, like I can imagine they had more.
Quincy Jones,
yes, right. I can imagine that, like because of that, they were able to kind of like be more pronounced in some of the things that Black women we experience, which is colorism and featureism. Yeah,
and I think I'm wondering if, again, at the time when it came out, if it again like. Where the roots of colorism, we know where they go. And at that time, like, you know, at the time of the film, you know, people were passing and, you know, all those things like happen. Like, would it have been too much to kind of like unpack I don't know why it didn't happen in the film, but in this one it was just like, okay, I see what y'all doing. But I really do think that it's just a commentary on society, because we have been talking, there's been a research, even though colorism has never gone anywhere, there has been a resurgence of issues related to what it is versus what it isn't, and who gets to claim harm because of it, and all of those kind of things recently, that I do think that intentional choice is a commentary on where we are as a people today. But then plus also, though, you have to look at just Hollywood. Baby girl can sing her face off.
That part, yeah.
She also gives Nettie very sweet,
soft,
very pure, very soft, very mild manner, and all of that. In the original, original movie, when he was chasing her, it's like, no, I gotta get to school. Like, you know what I'm saying? But in that same scene, though, in this new one, Miss Natty had a little.
She had a mouth.
She
had a mouth.
Miss Girl said, now I climb trees and do this. I got corn cup funyuns and bunions on my feet. They might not now. Okay. And so I was like, okay, Miss Natty. I like that, and I appreciate that. And the thing is that, and this could be, I'm being eisegetical, and put a little bit on the text. That she I
can never say that word, but
eisegeted. She 10 toes down about her sister. We know that.
Yeah.
But I also think that it showed what happens when you can use your privilege for good, or what happens when people with privilege don't stand up for those who don't necessarily have it. And so there were moments where, just like with Suge, where when she was like, he beat me, original movie, he beat me when you're not here, or he hits me more when you're not here, and like in the new one, and like Suge was able to like use her privilege, and then Nettie, like, things were different for Celie when Nettie was around, and that kind of thing. And again, I don't know if that was intentional, but it was just something that I noticed. But again, what came out for me overall again is the strength and safety of Black sisterhood.
Yes.
And either blood or not, because you got Celie and Nettie, you got Sophia and Celie, their sisterhood, and Celie and Suge were a little more than a sisterhood.
Right. But it was weird because that turned into a sisterhood, but we'll get there.
We will get there, because I also want to talk about how bad, and now this is more comes out from the soundtrack and the place, but Suge was a gas. She is a gaslighter, manipulator. Like, the way she carries Celie really, really, really pissed me off.
Really? Dang, now I gotta get into it.
You gotta watch them. So there is a part, I'm trying to think if there's parallels in the new movie when she leaves to go to Memphis, and Celie, like, gets up the strength of courage and say, I want to go with you. And she was like, no, don't worry about it. I'll be back. Don't, it's fine. I'm coming back, and blah, blah, blah. And she came back, kind of promised and all that. But in the plays, there is, and a little bit in the original movie, there's a song, What About Love? Right before that song, What About Love? Suge says to Celie, that this boy's going to hurt me more than I'm hurting you. And she was like, I gotta just have my last fling and all that, really just like giving justification for why she going with this high yellow man and not staying with Celie. He's like, she says, this boy gonna hurt me more than I'm hurting you. And I was like, girl, what? Like, imagine you telling me that him hurting you is worse than essentially you cheating on what I feel because you cheated on me. Like, the gaslighting. And like Suge literally, like, she took Celie's docile nature and really her love for her. Suge knew how cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs Celie was for her, and she used it to her advantage. And I don't know if Suge, Celie, love her some Suge. Suge was given what's understood, don't need to be explained.
Okay.
That's all that's how I feel about that. And I've always felt that way about that.
Now you make me want to read the book. But okay, so let me ask you this about Suge though. So we agree that it may have been intentional casting to have Haley as Nettie.
Yes.
Okay. Do you feel as though that same intentionality was utilized when casting Taraji to be Suge? Because noted, like in the first Color Purple, they was like when the dad was talking about her, oh, she's as black as tar. I don't know why you even want Suge, right? But in the new one, he didn't say that because
she's brown. She's
right.
Brown. Yeah, again, like this, one of the words that they used several times in the marketing and promotion of the show was reimagination.
Okay.
And so I think some of the casting decisions were in that. And if we think about the original, literally everybody outside of Squeak was basically the same complexion. Squeak was the only one that stood out. Mary Agnes was the only one that really stood out around that, table. Even the men were all like fairly same shade. So this reimagination, I do think that the choices in color, if it wasn't intentional, it definitely created conversation. And the way Blitz talked about his decision, like his decision train or his logic train to agree to do this, I can't help but to think that it was intentional because he respected and honored this iconic classic work for what it is. He respected and honored Alice Walker's work and was like, I'm not going to touch this if I'm not going to be contributing to the canon in any way, right? That was his words. He used canon.
I love that.
And so that's why Celie, he gave Celie an imagination and all those things. So I think I would not be, I'll put it this way. I don't know for sure, but I would not be shocked if these like color pieces was his contribution to elevating pieces of the story, or not even elevating, picking out pieces of the story that weren't for conversation that weren't present in the first one, because the first one was Suge was desired because Suge was sexy and talented.
Right.
Nettie was pretty, Celie was ugly. And it wasn't because they were skin, body, none of that. They were all same shape. All same
alike,
They were right. And then even in that, again, Squeak being very, very fair skin, basically could pass, finer grade of hair. I was going to say pretty hair, but finer grade of hair and all of that kind of stuff. She wasn't nobody really even checking for her. And so, and even when Harpo had Squeak, he was his heart. He knew where home was. He wanted Sophia.
He sure did.
And her size and her chocolateness and all of that. So that wasn't colorism, featureism. All that wasn't a factor in the original, and it is now. So I don't know if I could say for sure that it was on purpose. But I would not be shocked if it was, particularly because the director was very open about, I can't do this if I'm not adding to it. And so,
I feel like if we could just have Oprah on this live or somebody who who produced it, like just sit down.
Did y'all do that on purpose? Did y'all do that on purpose? Just tell me, please.
We need to know. We need answers.
Honestly.
We need answers.
Honestly.
Because it really adds to the intricacies of what it means to be a Black woman in America. So, but it like you said, it definitely makes for great conversation. Kind of shifted the dynamic to like this faith and spirituality piece, which was very much present in the original as well. I'm wondering, pertaining to like images of God, one's faith, like how did you kind of see that manifested? And then I'll give my take on.
I think, and I'm going to, again, I'm reading the book again, and I'm going to watch the original again, and I'm going to see the new one tomorrow again. For these reasons, because one, it's interesting that you said it, because the thing that I remember being in the theater, like, there was a part where, again, knowing the soundtrack, there's parts in your in the soundtrack where Suge says, "I think it pissed God off if we walk past the color purple in the field and not notice it," you know.
Yeah.
And so, and then, you know, immediately that kind of takes me to Maverick City. If he dresses the lily with beauty splendor, you know, and like, you know, with Solomon and all the flowers and all that day beauty, like all that kind of stuff. That's what I begin to think about there. But Taraji also like went on about God in these different facets. And I think that original Suge had this place where she was like, God don't want me, I don't want God.
Yes.
But this Taraji Suge was like, God ain't never left me.
Yeah.
And God is in me even in Memphis, even when I'm in the juke, even when I'm, you know, singing these songs in this album. And there's this idea that, you know, like, and for me as a marketplace minister, if you will, it's like I don't have to be inside the four walls of the church to be doing the work of God.
Same.
And my grace, his grace for me is sufficient enough to be able to do the work that I'm doing. And I think that was a message for sure, that I may not look like what you think a woman of God looks like. I may not move like, but God is still in me. Now, granted, you know, she got that nasty woman's disease. So...
But I'm so surprised they didn't say that in the first one or the second one.
I really wanted them to say that because that's my favorite line. But and they did say next time put a little Sugar Avery pee in his drink. See,
they didn't say that.
She didn't say that. She did spit in there though.
That was disgusting.
Fantasia. Yuck. But yeah, I do. Like I said, I think Margaret Avery Suge had this like, I don't want God, God don't want me. So then at the end, maybe God is trying to tell me something was even the more powerful because it was like it was a reckoning. Like I've come to the end of myself.
Right.
Okay, God, I'm ready for you now. And her father, you know, dealing with his issues with forgiveness and all that, she began to see, you know, the love of God, like through Celia or through whoever. And then she, you know, ran back to his precious and bleeding side, if you will. Whereas with this one, God ain't never left her. And so really the reckoning or the coming, her father was really the one that came to the end of himself more in this one than Celie did. I mean, than Suge did in this one. And I was just like, okay. And even like, I ask this question all the time to my pastor, and I think, how is it fair? And most of the time it's coming when I'm going through, but how is it fair that if that which is last will one day be first? And for Black people, we have to have this almost end times eschatological hope where everything the good will come for us in glory and in heaven. But on earth is, I was about to say bad words, is a poop show. Whereas white people who love Jesus, they get the privilege in heaven on earth and they get heaven in heaven. And how is that fair? Right. And I think that watching this, and particularly like Celie's life, is like that she embodied that question that, you know, evangelists really hate to answer. How could a good God let such a bad things happen to good people?
Yes.
Right. And it's like hard to reckon with. When we think about Christianity and a great falling away and where we are with like ministry with young people, faith leaders really need to develop an apologetic for, or a hermeneutic for, that particular question in these really dark times, in a way that is that's more palatable for, you know, your everyday, for your everyday Christian. Because honestly, how could I, as a witness of God, with any real success, bring Celie back to Christ or get her to believe in Christ?
That's good. That's good. And here's my theory. Can I tell you my theory? And first of all, I love how you come through here with your student doctoral knowledge and theology, talking about hermeneutics and exegete. That's that word I can never say. Because it's an earned doctorate, beloveds. Whoever watching this, she's earning this doctorate. Yeah. So when we think about like how we can even minister to a Celie and bring her to Jesus and have her to have a full understanding of what God is. I wasn't even thinking about this in the movie theater when she was even like during that scene where she was walking through the field with the lilies with Suge Avery, and she was talking about how like so many people left her, like my sister left me, my kids are going, blah blah blah, and she was like, what type of God would do that? And Suge was like, well, it sounds like man did these things. It wasn't that God did it.
I said, I was in the studio yelling,
preaching.
I said, speak the word, Suge. And the people was looking at me like I was crazy. Okay.
Because the whole time what was going on was the traumas that Celie experienced caused her to alter how she saw God. She was seeing God through the lens of how she saw her natural father, or who she thought was her natural father, how she saw Mr. And because of this conflictual relational dynamic that she had with these two men, she was attributing those same characteristics to God. And that's often what happens when people experience trauma. We start to attribute those same types of like humane characteristics to God. Which
that's so good. In the soundtrack, they're having Celie and Sugar having dialogue, and she said, God trifling and low down. And so Suge said, God not like the pictures you seen of him. God not a man at all.
Wow.
And she's like, Suge, because Celie's like, what God gonna do for me? God gonna take me to live with you? Like, type of thing. And so like you want me to believe in this God that's supposed to love me, that's supposed to be so good. Like, you tell me, what do love look like when my father, one I think is my father, who's supposed to love me, treated me like this. This man I'm supposed to be married to is supposed to love me, treat like, because that's not what love is. Because if what the way he loved you and the way he loved me is two different things. And the way God loved me is the way the rest of these people been loving me. And so this idea, I don't know the God you know. And so so I was just like, wow. And for her to be able to, but then they see the beauty of it, that she had so much angst with God. And someone, people would argue it, but he never left her side. He was always working in the areas that meant the most to her. Unfortunately, being beaten on obviously she didn't like it, but that wasn't her worry. That didn't cause her the most pain. Being sexually assaulted didn't cause her the most pain. It was not having her sister and her children that hurt her the most. And God covered and kept the thing that was the most precious to her and brought the thing that was most precious to her back to her, and was always working behind the scenes with her, getting her store and getting the land and all. He always, like, he Terry. Is that the other part of the song? He said in the soundtrack, he said, God taking his sweet old time to get around to you. I will admit that's what she was doing. And I'm like, yeah, man, like, what is it? And I remember first hearing that, and I'm like, I'm saying, tell me about it. But the thing is that they that wait on the Lord will renew their strength. They will not be weary, walking not faint, mount up on wings like eagles and soar. And so it is in, I remember my pastor preached a sermon from that text and talked about the, like, I think it's aerodynamic, nature of eagle wings, and how in storms they go higher. And like, they're literally built to cut through storms to raise higher and higher. So, like, again, the intentionality of scripture that says, like, to compare us to that particular bird is interesting. And so God did surely took his sweet old time getting around sincerely. But, and again, to really Black, sometimes it feels like that. God, you take your sweet old time to get around to Black women. But when he shows up and shows out, it is he preserves the thing that they literally try to rob us for. Like he preserves that. Again, that Black sisterhood. Like when we are in, like I have been in like a funk, like low-key state of depression. Again, this corridor of the year is always horrible for me. I had a late night brunch with my girlfriends the other day, and I woke up and we was out late. I woke up at 8 a.m. I washed clothes. I told you I washed clothes. I went to the mall. I started doing homework. I'm working on the second deck for Daring Discussions. And we were like checking it, like what we doing. I was like, child, I don't know what was on y'all, but whatever was on y'all, the lifted up whatever was off of me. And it was just, I felt so good just being in that space. And when you look at even Sophia, like having Celie come there to her every whole day, like, and even the original, when she said, I remember that day I was at the store with Miss Celie. I was feeling mighty bad. I was feeling mighty low. And I looked up and I saw you, Miss Celie, and I know there is a God. I know it. And so,
why did you nail it like that, though? Like you literally nailed that.
Here's the thing, like low key, my bucket list is to be, I don't necessarily need to be on Broadway, but I want to be in a play that doesn't require singing or somebody lip syncing for me in the back while I like I want to be able to do that. But so what she said was, what Celie was doing was, even in her darkest hour, was being the hands and feet of Jesus on earth. She, at that time, so Celie was the only Jesus Sophia could see.
Yes. Yeah.
I knew there was a God because of you showing up for me.
My God.
How many people know that God is real because you show up for them?
Yes. They said, preach, preacher.
Y'all crazy. It's just amazing. Like, so even when you made the flyer, like the psychology of the color purple, like we have these conversations all the time. So this is just like how our minds work. And as clinicians, sometimes we have to like force ourselves, watch this as a regular human. Don't critique the thing. Don't do it. It is very hard. It's very, very hard. And so that's why I'm going to watch it again. So I can just, now that I got my thoughts out, I can just watch it just for the sake of watching it. But it's just, but the thing is that's the artistry of it. That's the beauty of it. And really that's the God in all things. Like nothing has been made that what is it, John? Whatever the scripture is, there's nothing, essentially God is in everything. Ain't nothing on here on earth that God ain't either a part of or has some hand in. Now, when it gets perverted and weird and creepy and demonic, that's because, man done got to it and messed it up or whatever. Yeah. And so when I think about just being able to navigate those like dark times, like, does it get darker than what Celie was going through? Does it get darker than being in the town square with your family, getting your kids some ice cream, and then out of nowhere, you in prison for 6 years, and then you got to work for this old crusty, nasty white lady? Oh, Miss Millie. Oh,
that part is so triggering. That part is so triggering, bro. That part was so triggering. But listen, nobody talks about, and I know we navigate, nobody talks about the racial trauma that Sophia experienced.
Man.
And the depression that she experienced as a result of the racism that she, like, Miss Millie gonna get these hands whenever I see her, but
oh my God, even the original movie to this, the like visceral reaction to, and I remember the first time I saw that movie, I had to been, when did it come out? 90 whatever. I had to be all of 95. I was 7, and so I probably 85. Okay. Oh well, I wasn't even born yet, so I probably saw it. Let's say I was 10 years old when I saw it for the first time. I remember having a visceral reaction to the scene where she was like, You can stay all day. You hear? You can stay. And she get there, so everybody excited to see Sophia, and then she can't turn around. She done forgot how to drive, and then now she's freaking out, carrying white woman tears, and now she's freaking out, and now because white woman's tears becomes black woman's problems, and so now Sophia had to go home. I remember having a visceral reaction to that, and I was like bracing myself for that to happen again in the new movie. And when they let her out of jail and that thing was sitting outside, I said, "Oh, I know not. Oh, I know not. Oh, Miss Millie wore me to my core. Oh, and then when it was in a prison and you gotta go. Now it's time to go. She really just start pouring into her, get ready to like lift up on her spirit. And right at the point where her spirits get ready to be lifted, now you want to shut it down.
In the new one, right?
I was fired up. Oh my God.
And I really feel like the original did what it needed to do to drive that dagger, because I hated the original Miss Millie in comparison to the new one. Because I remember watching it for the first time with my dad. Like, is there something that's going to happen to Miss Millie at the end of this movie? Like, how are we going to get revenge for Sophia? Like, how are we going to get this lick back? Right?
Yeah. Oh my God. It was so, I think that is definitely one of the most like underrated.
Yeah.
And it's like, and I think it's hard because Color Purple is like a black film, like as a primary, like the racial issues is a backdrop. Like it's not like in your face type of thing in either one of them, really. It's not like, an original one was like you gonna buy anything else, gal? It's like that kind of stuff was just like a little sprinkle, sprinkle of the thing. And so I don't think many people talk about it. But the thing is, like, Sophia had nearly a decade of her life robbed from her. Those kids lost their mother.
Right.
5 kids for 10 years, almost 10 years, lost their mother because of the tears of some white lady, which caused some white man to get all up in his feelings and beat on his chest. And okay, Emmett Till, this is what happened. This is what happens when white men and white women simp for each other.
Right.
When white men and white women simp for each other, black people die or are severely harmed.
Yes.
And I was like, yo, like, and then like, what you mean? Like, your kid's so clean, you want to come be my maid? Girl, no, I don't. And I don't. And this is how I know God birthed me in the right generation, the right millennia. Because I'd have been like, don't want to be your what? Girl, do you want to be my maid?
Right. But nah, so Sophia, I think she represents like black women who aren't afraid to speak their mind. Her and her friends were that group. Yeah. And that ruffles a lot of people's feathers. When you see a free black woman, like free in expressing ourselves, people will do what they want to do to try to humble you. Yep. Yep. Whether that is in, the like, what was it, late 1800s when that took place versus 2023, like people still trying to humble black women to this day.
And unfortunately, it is not just a external non-community member humbling us. Unfortunately, it's beginning to infiltrate into inter-community issues like husbands and wives. Now, I'm not, this ain't what we're talking about, but because you brought it up.
No, let's go there.
I don't even know that man's name, but Mr. Simone Biles.
And that's the real tea, because we really don't even know who you are, sir.
Because Owens, I think that might be his last name. I don't know what his first name is. I don't remember who he plays for. But the only reason why I know I think it's Owens is because, is it Jamal? No, that's not it. Because I saw a TikTok of Kevin Hart and Keenan, interviewing her, and then her necklace said Owens. I don't know, but that talk about humbling. That's what you're doing. Mm-hmm. Like you want to humble her, and I hate, and the fact that submission or support from us looks like being humble. Like we can be bosses and like, oh yes, I'm that girl, and still be humble because I'm that girl.
Exactly.
I'm still the number one Christian sexologist, but oh please no, I'm still making my man's plate and bringing him his napkin and his juice and his slippers with pride. Okay, I could do both. But that interview when he was like, "Oh, I didn't even know who she was."
He's lying.
You're a liar.
I don't believe him.
You're a liar.
I don't believe him.
And here's the thing. And I've seen this on TikTok, and I could not have agreed more. I know who you were. You're lying, but okay. Maybe you don't watch gymnastics. I'll give you that. Fine. But the intentional choices of how you told the story was because you wanted to put her in her place. The fact that you had to lay out all the 3 times that you saw that she reached out to you, but you were doing something else, so you didn't respond. You had to get in the shower. I waited a couple more hours. You was trying to make it seem like she was like you were impressed, right? Then when you talked about the first time that they linked, he said, oh, and she came to link with me. She drove like 45 minutes.
Yes.
Why we need to know that?
Yes.
Why we need to know that? You told that part of the story on purpose.
And when he said, I'm the catch or I'm the prize.
Yeah. Yeah, because when he said she drove for 45 minutes, that made the host say, oh, so what you saying is you the catch. He was like, I mean, yeah. I'm like,
but it's really people out here who like, it's men out here who want to be the catch. Like,
but here's the thing. I am okay with
I'm not. Don't think you're gonna come over here with that.
But here's the thing. I think that 2 catches can catch each other.
Okay.
I think that 2 people who are, because here's the other piece of it. That like real talk. Do I want you if you're not a catch?
Okay.
So like it's the fact that I am who I am means you need to be a catch to be with me.
Period.
So I'm okay with him thinking that he's a catch, but he should have said when he said, "What you think you a catch?" I mean, we both are. This is prize winning over here. We matching energy. Something that said, "Yes, she got a prize in me, but I also have a prize in her, and it is because that we are each other's prize." Like or some kind of way. Use your fancy word, your fancy education. Aren't you a college student?
Right.
Use your fancy education to explain what you need to explain. But the problem is, he said, the question is, if I catch you, do you feel a way if I leave? Sounds prideful from him. Yeah, and that's the thing. Everything about him feels, because even when he was talking about how they went out to ice cream and everybody was like losing it because she was there. And he was like, oh, okay, like what, like, because nobody has ever lost it when you walk in the room. You literally could walk in the airport, anywhere in the world, unattached. You could sit in Gen Pop on Delta Airlines and nobody's going to know nothing. And you don't like it. And
I didn't hear that part.
Girl. So anyway, we got derailed for a second. But yes, people want to humble Black women, and it ain't just outside people.
I did not hear that part. I think that's hilarious though. But that makes a lot of sense as to why he felt the need to say that. Because that sounds like a compensatory strategy. Like he needed to do that to kind of like compensate for some insecurities that he had.
Yep.
To say like, oh, I didn't know who she was.
Walked around in
right
because of who she is and who he is.
Right.
Oh, honey, when the Olympics come, and this is what I'll just put it like this. He needs to do some soul searching and get some work together, work on his spirit.
Yes.
Before the Olympics come. Because Miss Girl is that girl. Okay? Always been. And so it's only going to get even like you.
So that definitely screams insecurity then.
Oh yeah, big time. And the unfortunate part about it is that some people battle with insecurity that is allowed to stay hidden or lie dormant because they curate spaces of people that they are better than.
Yes.
And so you don't really get to see how really threatened they are until they are in a place of greater or better.
Exactly. And it takes a hit to their ego.
Yep.
And their ego gets in conflict with what they thought they were, like the perceived image of themselves versus their the reality of like what's happening.
Yeah. And the perceived image of itself is a falsehood, and it really is a falsehood that is kind of scaffolded by you know, lesser experienced folk that they are around, or lesser accomplished folk that they are around. But in reality, the real angst and a rub comes in, particularly in relationships where we fighting and all of that, because my or the other person's lived shared existence and lived experience holds a mirror to everything that you don't like about yourself.
That part. But that's not your wife's responsibility to work that out. He should have worked that out before he got married.
He's not anointed enough to do the level of deliverance that he needs.
Come on.
The Enhanced American Express Business Gold Card is designed to take your business further. It's packed with benefits like 4 times points that adapt to your top 2 eligible spending categories every month on up to $150,000 in purchases per year. And up to $395 in annual statement credits on eligible purchases at select business merchants. The Amex Business Gold Card. Now smarter and more flexible. That's the powerful backing of American Express. Terms apply. Learn more at americanexpress.com/businessgoldcard.